This is Jerome McQueen of Academics, the national movement to encourage our young people to choose STEM as career aspiration.
I had a really great biology teacher. She was like nationally recognized. She got to meet President Obama.
So this year I'm working with 3D printing, actually being able to use my skills from A&T to design things on the computer and actually see them become a physical part.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
Okay, absolutely live from downtown, wherever.
Look, from downtown, wherever you are, because we're coming to you through the internet. So
absolutely, and YouTube and all that. Absolutely. So, good evening to our audience, and welcome to our program. We always have seriousness when after we had our little laughter, for a few seconds. But and today is one of those days. We're gonna help our young people get some wipe out some of that debt. We're going to have some directions or something to see if we can't come up with something, right? Right, April?
Some young and some old people.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
We're trying to help everybody tonight. If you have student loan debts, we are trying to help everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to let's just make full use of this hour and get on with our guest, who's going to because we're talking about money, about the money for our young people, so they can get another leg up on all that debt they're in, especially those who've gone to college and studied so well, spent all that time, and then it's coming out and still owing a lot of money, and may not be making what they think they should be making in order to pay back that loan. So let's do it. What do you think?
I think it's time, and we're going to bring on Tarsha, the biz boss, Anderson-Laboard. How are you doing tonight?
I am awesome. How are you guys?
All right. We appreciate having you here again tonight. And it's a totally different topic, but we have the same expert here giving us what we need to know about this particular topic tonight. And if you all remember, Tarsha was with us a few months back talking about taxes and credit and finance. So this is totally up her alley because now she's going to talk with us about this student loan debt relief that is happening right now, courtesy of the Biden administration and company. I'll say it like that.
Right.
And so we were having a little backstage conversation before the show started. And I mean, Tarsha was dropping some knowledge, and we were like, that's exactly what we need you to tell the audience tonight. I mean, good stuff, right, Brother Edward?
Yeah, left us in awe. At least she left, I can speak for myself. She left me in awe. I mean, it was some of the knowledge of some of the things that hopefully we can get over to our young people and old people, as April said.
Listen, a lot of mature people have student loan debt now.
I like the way she said it, mature. That's
Oh, okay, that's right.
Mature.
Right. Mature.
Exactly, mature. But Tarsha, thank you again for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate having you here again. And our subject tonight, the question is, what can student loan debt forgiveness mean for you? And as you all know, if you do have student loan debt forgiveness or have been just contending with the rising cost of college education, you know that it is really tough, as Brother Edward said, to graduate, go into the workforce, and find that you are not making enough money based on the degree that you have in order to satisfy your student loan debt. And so some people are, they're really in between a rock and a hard place. They're having to deal with forbearances and deferments because they simply are not making enough money to pay the student loan payments and rent and food and car payment and all that other stuff, right? And so the Biden administration has done a remarkable thing as far as offering a student loan debt relief program. And, it was one of President Biden's promises during his campaign. And of course, we want to make sure that our politicians are keeping their campaign promises. And I know that a lot of people feel that it's not enough. Some people say, hey, it's a start. So we're gonna talk about all of that. But the main thing is that even if you feel that it's going to offer some type of relief, regardless of what is being offered, if you do not apply, you will get left behind. You will not receive any of the relief. And then there is the other side of this equation for those of us who are in public service with the public service loan forgiveness program, which is a totally different animal. That's a totally different beast in itself. As Tarsha is going to explain, this, is really, really complicated. And I know we could all probably come up with some suggestions of what can be done to help us in those arenas, but it would take probably, years or months of red tape to get a lot of things done. So now that the ball is rolling and people have an opportunity to apply for either public service loan forgiveness or this student debt relief, they need to do it. And unfortunately, it's not happening enough, especially in the African-American community. So with 22 million Americans, maybe even more than that, over 22 million Americans, I'll say that, have already applied for this student loan debt relief. And what we know about it right now is that there's some federal judge that has blocked it because it was supposed to start like a few weeks ago. We should have been seeing some things happening with our student loan balances and all that. And so while we're in this, kind of a standstill state, there's still an opportunity to apply. And Tarsha is going to take us into a conversation about all of that. So Tarsha, before you actually get into all of that, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the Biz Boss and Boss Thangz and, what you do, because you do it so well.
Okay. First of all, thank you guys for having me back again.
You're welcome.
And I definitely want to jump into talking about the student loan forgiveness. So I'm just going to briefly tell you guys who I am. I am Tarsha, the Biz Boss, Anderson-Laboard. I am the CEO of Boss Thangz Consulting, and we are an international brand that is basically formulated to help men and women learn financial literacy and to create generational wealth through entrepreneurship based on different platforms and be able to thrive in their financial space and create a hub to where we're a one-stop shop for your business. So that's just the brief intro about what I do. So anything that has to do with business and money, I'm usually I'm there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we need you in the community. I mean, Make no mistake about that. Okay.
Yes, and I definitely love educating everyone. So to kind of piggyback off what you said, April, so this was something that I'm not even sure that a lot of people are aware of. So the federal judge did block it, but guess what? There's only like maybe I think 6 or 7 states that had issues and why it's being blocked. And guess who's one of those states that was in the front line of getting this blocked?
And you don't have
South
to say that.
Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
Mhm.
South Carolina. And a lot of the reason why is because they're private lenders that definitely are not going to benefit from this happening.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Money is always the bottom line to things like that. So
Always.
Okay.
So that's why it's important to vote. So hopefully everybody did get out there and do that today, but that's a different story. So and just kind of I'm just going to really go over some basic info about the one-time student loan forgiveness, and then I'm sure if you guys will leave a time for a question and answer, then that's fine. So first, I want to just start off by saying that the one-time student loan forgiveness application is super easy to fill out. I mean, it's literally your basic info. So it is super easy. So I always just kind of start off with that, so that can kind of take that out of the equation when it comes to this application. You don't even need your ID login or anything. You literally just go to studentaid.gov, click the link, put in your info, and they'll send you an email saying that they received your application. Okay. Now, there you may hear that you don't have to put in the application, which, you know, I'm not a big fan of, you know, systematic stuff because anything can happen. But your income is supposed to be getting pulled from your IRS records from 20 and 21. We know how system goes. So the safest bet is to go ahead and apply. Okay. Now, the main requirement is that your income be under the limit. So if let's say you filed single on your tax return, or married filing separately, then it's $125,000 is your income limit. Okay. Now, if you're married, if you're head of household, like you have dependents, qualifying widower, then it's $250,000 has to be your income. Okay. So if you're under that, then most definitely, listen, there shouldn't even be a second thought of applying. Okay. Now, the application period actually ends December 31st of 2023. But I feel why wait? If it's hot right now, it's up right now, then we need to be up and we need to be applying right now before anything crazy happens. Okay.
That's right.
Right. And even with the pause that's going on, they're still reviewing applications and they're actually still processing. And if they need info from you, they're still emailing you and everything if there's something needed. So those applications are still moving forward. And that's why I tell everybody, like, I remain very positive about this being lifted and resolved, soon. And, they're going to be processing really quick, so the processing time might be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks or maybe even quicker. That this will happen. So you definitely, there's no need to procrastinate, no need to wait on it. Just go ahead and apply. Okay. Now the amounts vary. So it can be up to $20,000 if you receive Pell Grants while you were in college, or up to $10,000 if you did not receive Pell Grants. Okay. And even the loan type has to be eligible. So I know a lot of times people have no idea what kind of loan they had when they were in college. They have no idea, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know until after I got what kind of loan I had. I had no idea, what I had going on. So some of the loans that are eligible for the debt relief is the William D. Ford federal loan, the direct loan, the FEEL, the Perkins, the Parent Plus, Graduate Plus, subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans. So those different, and if you want to really find out like what type of loan you have, when you log into studentaid.gov, and if you haven't, you create your account, your exact loan, Pell Grant amounts, everything, all your info is going to be listed there. Now, if it was like before 1990, 2 or something like that, I think, then it's probably not going to be there, but they got it on record. But you can easily log in there and see exactly what kind of loan you had, and see, if you're eligible. So private loans are not going to be eligible for the debt relief.
Okay, I have a quick question for you. So what you're talking about now, the Pell Grants versus not, and the different types of student loans that you had. And then, of course, we're focusing on everybody. But I think you brought up an interesting point about kind of like, I think of it as a statute of limitations, right? So how far back does this relief actually cover the borrower? Because let's say, for instance, if you were a borrower who has loans that, you took out maybe in the late 90s or early 2000s or whatever the case is, and you're still paying on those loans, will those loan payments be taken into consideration for different things like PSFL? And we'll get into that later. But yes, will they consider that, since we're talking about debt relief right now, will they consider that for the debt relief part?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, as long as you still have a balance, then you're considered for the debt relief. Okay, so as long as you have a balance, so you definitely. Okay, you just have to make sure that your loans fall in one of those categories. So, so private loans are are not eligible. But to be honest, I feel like if you had all private loans, I mean, you just took out loans without any type of anything. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a very probably small percentage of most people. I would say at least most people that I've come across and that I've worked with, that, I mean, they're just not out there taking out private loans for,
Is it safe to say that that's not mostly in low income people? They don't take out private loans.
Right. Because nobody's going to, I mean, generally, I never even knew, you don't go to the bank and say, okay, I'm just going to take out a loan for school. Like, no, that was never, really the process. You went through, financial aid office and all of that. So that's definitely going to be, the majority of people that are utilizing this program.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. And then I know a lot of people were asking about Parent Plus, because, some parents, we had to sign on that dotted line for those kids. So with the Parent Plus loans will be able to get relief also.
Wow, that's great.
Okay. Now the only thing is the amounts will vary. So for instance, if your child's got Pell Grant, then the percentage there may be a little different. So it really just kind of depends, and you would have to kind of look into that and see, okay, what amount did they get for the Pell Grant, and then what amount am I going to be able to get for my portion of the Parent Plus. But and I think it's going to be capped off for Parent Plus at 10. So I don't believe that it will be 20,000 for Parent Plus loans if you have Parent Plus only. Now, on the bright side to that, if I had a loan myself and I also had a Parent Plus loan for my child, I can get up to 20 for myself and still get a portion for my child, the Parent Plus loan. And then the child or dependent can still get a portion of theirs. They can get up to $20,000 of theirs also debt relief too.
Well, I think that's great, because it's that way it's not one-sided and the parents aren't still suffering when the child's debt is relieved. So that's good. There's a question from the audience that's viewing tonight. Thank you, Janet Lawrence Patton, for watching tonight. Example types of private loans. Does this include loan consolidation taken over by a private lender?
It very well can. Yes, it very well does include that. If it was taken over by strictly a private lender, that's not Department of Education. So it very well could include that. Yes. It includes that. And it also includes, and only reason I really bring this up, because I noticed it when my youngest was applying for applications, that the bank would send her stuff and say, okay, listen, well, apply for your student loan through us. And at the time, me not even realizing that would be a completely private loan. So the banks, they contacting people to say, okay, well, just fund your school through, fund your schooling through us. So in that instance, if anybody, did anything like that, they would completely be out of this this topic, period. You're not knowing, thinking that they're doing something that's, okay at the time.
Okay, so getting back to this Parent Plus, is it safe to assume that all the young academics or people who are in academics that they know about this Parent Plus? I don't know.
No.
Oh, okay, so
it's really safe to say that they really don't. Only because a lot of times how the process works is when they say, okay, well, I need a loan, and then mom, can you sign this? Or the financial aid office just said, well, we need your parents to fill out this plus loan. Some people fill that out not even knowing what that is. They just know that I'm doing a loan or signing something for my child to continue on and pay for school. Now, when the child graduates, the parent might realize that then that they have a Parent Plus loan, but people while they're in, college, students, they have no idea what that is, because you have to think about, they just know, okay, I'm gonna get my mom and daddy to sign on the dotted line. They don't know. They don't know. And also they don't know there's other options, to that. So it's just, okay, mom, I need you to sign this. And a lot of times parents do take out Parent Plus loans, which is why they may have never been to school, but they're, mature and they have student loans.
So I guess that was my basic reason for asking that, because the assumption then again is that most young people don't know what that means.
I don't.
And unfortunately, there's just not enough. There's some financial aid literacy, if you want to call it that, workshops that are offered from time to time in certain communities. And Janet's watching, so I know that for example, Delta Sigma Theta would do a financial aid workshop type of a event, college goal, or but it's not something that is really the piece that people talk about before the parents or even the students are signing up for these loans. When they go, first of all, the financial aid application is a beast in itself. And then when they go to apply for financial aid, they're just, they're looking at all these terms and conditions and language and et cetera, et cetera. And it's pretty intimidating, Brother Edward. And so there's nobody who actually is sitting down with them, like, one-on-one counseling to have these conversations with them. And when they have those types of events, sometimes there just isn't enough time, or the persons who were there can't really answer the types of questions that the parents may have or the students may have. And so you really have to be aware of what they call it, the fine print. And the things that can come back to bite you later on. And then also as students go through the financial aid journey, there really isn't any financial aid counseling per se.
That's what I was about to ask.
It's not as in depth as it should be. The financial aid counseling usually amounts, and I'm talking on this, Tarsha, because I came from higher ed. But the financial aid counseling usually is more about letting them know their loan amounts, where they are with their balances, but there's nobody sitting down talking to them about the implications. They may have a leaflet here, but it's just like with anything else. You put a book in front of people, sometimes they won't read it. You can send them all the information, but if it's too much, people are not going to read versus someone sitting with them and actually counseling and coaching them through it. So,
and sometimes people just don't really understand what is being said. Like my last child, my older two children, they went to college, and I really, did not know, some of the things that I learned by the time my last child went to college. But I feel like, honestly, that scholarships were not even talked about a lot. Because as soon as she was probably like in 9th grade, it was like, oh, well, you can start doing college applications and apply for financial aid. And me, if I didn't have, I guess, learned some things, then I would have fell into that and said, okay, well, we're going to apply for financial aid. So it was very funny to me that when my daughter started applying, like, I did not go to financial aid night. And they were like, well, why are you not going? I'm like, I don't need to go. And it was just an assumed thing that you have to get student loans. that you have to apply for financial aid. But on the flip side, if when these children are in middle school and you start teaching them how to get scholarships, they may not need financial aid. Or the parents may say, okay, well, listen, no, we can probably fund this rest of this bill instead of getting these loans and etc. to put you through school. So luckily, when my daughter went to school, we didn't have student loans, but that was only because I had some knowledge beforehand, and it just the vibe seemed very different because we would get called all the time. We don't have a financial aid application. And I just, felt a little offended, like, well, I mean, do I have to fill one out? And it was almost like, yeah, we need you to fill one. I'm like, for what? So I think if it was more education beforehand about the options, then you may not have to. And even if you do have to get a student loan, you may not need it for the 10, 20,000 that you're applying for, instead of, if the school balance is 3,000, but I'm going to get a check for 15,000 to spend. And that happens with a lot of the children. Because I remember my daughter called me and she said, Mom, all my friends get a check from the school. Why don't I have a check? I was like, girl,
a refund check. They should be lined up around the building for the refund check.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, darling, you're not getting one of those checks, but they have no idea what that check is going to mean later on.
That's right.
They're just I get a check for going to school.
That's right. That's
right.
It. So now we're here at student loan debt, and it's, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like $1.4 trillion or something like that. It may be a little bit more than that. And people do believe that the government can do more, because some of it is kind of rooted in the fact that while people may be able to pay, whatever it is they've borrowed, the interest will accrue, and that makes those student loan payments and that student loan debt out of reach. If you're borrowing, if you're borrowing $5,000 and you have to pay back 15, that's ridiculousness. It is. And so we're here now as far as addressing the student loan debt forgiveness. And my question to you is, there are things that we know, like, you've talked about the application, and I pulled it up on the screen to kind of show people exactly what it looks like and how simple it really is. And, I have student loan debt. And so I applied, and there are a lot of my colleagues who have student loan debt, and we were shocked at how simple it is. And I mean, borrow information, you put in all this information right here in, and then basically you're reviewing and submitting this agreement here. With your first name, your middle initial, which is even optional, and your last name, the penalty of perjury statement, and then bam, submit. And it takes 2 minutes. That's
super easy. Doesn't get any simpler than that.
That is it.
I'm telling you, super easy.
It is super easy.
Wow. We need to come back to this again before the program's over. Let show the people again. Yeah,
it's super easy. It's super easy. And I think that that's really important, so that, individuals don't think that, it's more than what I can do, or I'm not computer savvy and all that. Like, it's not even like that. So I think that's a very important part, to get people to make sure that they are applying. Even if they're not sure if their loans are eligible, apply anyway.
Exactly.
Apply anyway.
So, that website, which is studentaid.gov, has a lot of information. And I'm sure that there are things that they are not saying on that website. And I've, kind of heard, since the entire conversation has come about in terms of what the student debt relief would be all about, I've heard that there are some, things that people need to know that aren't heir apparent when it comes down to how the government will review their applications, what they'll take a look at, and also, their eligibility, or, the stipulations or criteria that's there. So do you know of any, or have you heard of any loopholes or things that people need to know about as they're, applying for it and trying to figure out whether or not they will be eligible? Hopefully there aren't some things that are hidden that we don't know about.
I think probably the biggest thing that I would say is, even if you have not, let's say you haven't earned income and you haven't been filing taxes, then I definitely feel like you need to apply. Because I just really don't have a lot of faith that the people that have not been filing taxes, might not fall through the cracks, because really there may not be any income on record for you. Let's say you've been unemployed. So I kind of feel like if you have not been, maybe working, or if you've been not been filing your taxes, then definitely make sure you apply. And another thing is even recently enrolled students apply also. So let's say you had debt, and then you say, okay, I'm gonna go back to school, but you still have previous student loan debt, but you re-enrolled in school, just for instance, still apply. Because if you had a dependent child or something that maybe just started, or they're maybe in their second year, apply anyway, because they have a balance most likely. So I think, those things don't need to be overlooked. And I kind of just believe, like, listen, we ain't leaving no stone unturned. So I feel like those things, at any rate, just apply. But I really do feel like people that have not been employed, I don't have a lot of faith in that. So if you haven't been working, make sure you get on there and apply. Just don't sit back and wait and think that, okay, well, I might fall in that number. Like, no, it's not the time to do that.
What about people who may have their student loans in forbearance or deferment, or a lot of people are still, or they paused their payments because of the COVID Relief Act and things that were going on that did not require them to make the payments. And a friend of mine and I were talking the other day, and she was like, will that impact this? The fact that, maybe I haven't been making a payment because
it won't.
Yeah. Okay.
It won't impact that. And then listen, and this is a catch too. So even if you were making payments, let's say you were making payments since the onset of COVID, that you can get a refund of those payments that you were making during that pause.
So that's almost a year worth of payments.
Wow. That's like two. Yeah, almost two.
Yes. And so, because what a lot of people were doing, is they were still paying it because the interest has stopped. So in people's mind, like they were paying it, and that was going to help you bump down your balance. So with the debt relief, you can get back a refund of that. So let's say, now, of course, it's going to be like capped up. They're not going to probably give you dollar for dollar based on what you paid and how much relief you get. So if your balance after like the 20,000, if you still have a balance of, let's say, like $10,000, you start off with 30, then you won't get refunded for that. But let's say you had $10,000. You had $10,000 of worth of debt relief, and your bill was like $9,500. Then you might get that $500 left. So at any rate, you still will get something. But if it's over the amount, then no, you're not going to get anything. But then this is the trick too, which I probably wouldn't suggest because it really don't make sense. But you could call the loan servicer and say, listen, I want my refund. But that's just going to add back onto your balance. So that may not be the wisest to do, but you can get some of that refunded if you made those payments under the debt relief.
Tarsha, recently, FedLoan sent out a lot of statements or announcements to their borrowers that the loans were moving to a service provider known as Mohila. And I think that I don't know if that's the only one that actually did that. I don't know if everybody has FedLoan or not, but the question came up as to whether or not that service change would impact your ability to get debt relief. So are there things that will impact it negatively?
No. So actually, in this case, I feel like transferring the debt to Mohila will probably be a good thing because that service right under Department of Education. So I kind of feel like it will be a beneficial thing. It definitely won't impact negatively, but it will be a positive thing in your favor as far as going through this whole process. And I do think that a lot of things that were taking place, like transferring debt and service providers, was getting in preparation for this right here, because it would make really, there'd be no other reason to transfer, because a lot of providers did do that. Right. Transfer their debt off, transferred, to different providers. So hopefully that's them getting in motion before we know anything for all of this to carry on.
Now's not a time to do debt consolidation, is it?
I would not.
Right. Okay.
Only reason I said not to is you just don't want to, you don't want to take your chances, because so the word is that even if you do debt consolidation, that you can still get your debt relief, and then the rest of that will just be readjusted. But I just told y'all, like, I don't know how much faith I have in some of these things now.
Right.
So I need to wait and see what my real balance gonna be, and then work on that. So I just kind of feel like stay put right now. Let them work out what they're gonna work out. Payments are not going to resume anyway until January. So we got to the rest of the year to see what's going to shake and what's not going to shake. And then even still then, I'm sure you'll still be able to go stay in forbearance or deferment or something like that, or do income driven plans. So I kind of feel like this is something that, we have to kind of pack the patience and see what's going to work best for us, and work to our advantage in this whole plan.
Absolutely. We have another question from Janet, and she says, what about those who recently paid off their student loan debt? Should they apply, and will they be refunded eligible amount?
That is a wonderful question.
And that seems to be a question for a lot of people. That's a part of the whole debate and controversy behind this,
That is
because people want to know, what if I've already paid my debt, and am I going to receive some kind of compensation for that or whatever?
So honestly, I would think if anything was received, it would only be from the COVID period. Anything before that, I feel you're going to probably just have to charge that to the game, because I don't believe that they're going to overpay.
No, because
you got to think about it. That money is going to the provider. It's not coming to you directly.
Right. Now, suppose they borrowed money to pay it off. So now, can they trace that back to the fact that they borrowed and whomever they borrowed it from?
No, because that's private funds.
Okay.
That'll be private funds.
Wow.
And a lot of people are in that position. Like I said, because I have a number of clients that did that. When that interest freeze was on, they went ahead and paid it off, because it was interest free. It was down enough to be able to knock it out. I have people that between like stimulus payments and child tax and all that other stuff, some people got thousands and thousands of dollars. So some people did take that and pay off that student loan debt, because like I said, for a lot of people, that's the only debt they really have. So some people did kind of take advantage, of that. So we'll just have to wait and see if they're going to, do something. But I wouldn't cross my fingers on that.
Wow. Well, Brother Edward, we've talked about the student loan debt relief program, and let's dig into PSLF a little bit.
Oh, goodness.
I know, right? It's like we need a whole nother show for that one, because I tell you, that is it's becoming the bane of our existence. And there's so many things that are great about it, and then there's so many things that are not. I think there's so many things they could have done that were easy. Seems like easy fixes. For example, one of the things that I would suggest, it's a 10-year program, right? So you have to make
too long.
Okay, Tarsha, you have to, Brother Edward, you have to make 120 payments. That's 10 years of payments.
That's 10 years. Yeah.
Before that's ridiculous.
They even think about it.
Right.
Think about it.
They could have easily cut that in half.
Right. I'm saying 5 years.
5 years would have been great. Especially for these teachers to give them relief right away. And
absolutely.
Others who are in public service, and a lot of people don't even know what the definition of public service is. But if you're a nonprofit, if you are military service, if you are like working for fire, police, hospital, public service is exactly what it says. But 10 years is a very long time. And what? And Janet says, it's working, it's real, and it's working for her. And I know that it's real, there are some people who have already been forgiven because they've been in public service for a very long time. But, you know, the truth of the matter is that, you know, the times now have certainly changed, or they're showing us that, you know, maybe what was happening 10 years ago when it made a whole lot of sense to have it based on the way it was built, it doesn't make any sense now. So there are things that need to be revamped or revised about the PSLF program as well. And so even from like the nonprofit status, if you work for a nonprofit, I know that there's like a tool on the website where you can, you know, put the name of the nonprofit in to see if the nonprofit is eligible, because if the nonprofit isn't eligible, but you're, you know, working in that sector, you will not be eligible for PSLF.
And the thing is with the nonprofit is, and I always make sure that I'm very clear with people, because you can apply for a nonprofit in your state and never get a 501, but you're still considered a nonprofit. So for like the PSLF, that organization has to have their 501.
That's right.
So it just can't be that, oh, I'm a nonprofit in my state and you work for me. Like, no, you have to be considered federally a nonprofit.
Federally,
and so that, you know, has kind of impacted, because I've seen it personally happen to some individuals where they were working full time for a nonprofit, but they didn't qualify. And they have to realize you have to work full time too. So you can't be a part-time worker. And then even with the limited PSLF that just ended in October, now that program was like the prime time to get in there, because they were cutting out the 120 payments. I mean, they were kind of doing a little thing now, you know, during that program. But like I said, that still also comes into play where people applying for it, because it's limited, it had a waiver, which means they were waiving some of that. But I still really don't feel like as many people who should have took part in applying for that while there were waivers going on and there was a little slack being given. Because once people embed something in their mind and they're like, okay, well, I have to have 120 payments, they were forgiving people that didn't have nowhere near that during the waiver, you know, time period. Yeah, but it's over now. It ended on October 31st. So now you're back to the regular old smegular.
The regular smegular.
So I'm going to assume, since it hadn't been brought up yet, that PSLF stands for private or is it public service loan forgiveness or something?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Our apologies, because see, when we be talking about stuff and we just be, you know, thinking that people know.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. But yeah, and it's really crazy. And I think all of it boils down, whether it's the student loan relief or public service loan forgiveness, it all boils down to the communication. And there are certain things that people either they, you know, like we said before, they don't understand, they're miseducated or uneducated, but also the communication that comes out is not entirely clear.
Right.
Because you know, and when you call, you know, let's say you call for help, you know, some type of customer support or whatever.
Right.
You can talk to 100 different reps and get 100 different interpretations of what you're supposed to do or what it means and all that other good stuff. And so people have to really be vigilant about not only, like you said, Tarsha, applying and staying on top of their information, but also staying on top of the developments and asking questions about, you know, these new things that are rolling out, or they will definitely miss out.
And there's also the borrower's defense application too. I've had some clients that
what is that? The what?
The borrower's defense.
Okay. What's that application? Borrower's defense. Okay.
Yes. So listen. So that application is, let's say you went, your college has closed, or you know you felt like you were not properly informed, or some other issues going on. You can apply for borrower's defense, especially if that school is closed. Wow. There's a list out with schools on there that are closed or that had, I guess, maybe previous issues with practices. And if you attended those schools, you can apply for borrower's defense. And I've had clients as well that got loans discharged from schools that were closed down, or schools that had previous issues or whatnot with, unfair practices or not educating on financial aid, course requirements, different things like that. It's like a whole ton of a list of items that you can put on that application if you felt like, you were not informed properly at that school. That's a whole nother application that I've been telling people to apply for too, especially if your school closed down.
Right.
So that's another tool as well that, you can apply for. And like I said, you can apply for all three. It don't matter. Apply for everything. Go down the list.
That's the bottom line. Apply for everything.
Right.
Apply for everything. You have nothing to lose but money.
Right. Nothing. I feel like something's gonna shake. Apply for everything. Something's gonna shake.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to remind our viewers, if you have questions or comments about the topic for the night, please leave them post them on Facebook or post them on YouTube. And Tarsha will be more than happy to answer them, especially in the last, 10 minutes of this broadcast. And we just want to thank all of our viewers. I want to thank Yvette Pope out of Charlotte, North Carolina for watching, and Sabrina Moore out of Florida by way of South Carolina. I want to thank her for watching, and so many others out of the Maryland, DC area for watching tonight, because, this is very valuable information. It's important for people to be highly informed and to understand what's going on. But because there is so much information coming out, and it comes out so quickly, and there's so many changes, just like, everybody was getting excited, and then bam, the federal judge blocked everything. Now, we have to make sure that we're on top of this. And also, this is what's going on with this whole debt relief system is a testament to the fact that we also need to make sure we are voting and getting these people out of the way who are, blocking things that for reasons that make absolutely no sense, because this really impacts everybody. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. I mean, it's ridiculous to believe that all borrowers are black borrowers. No, that is crazy. This is a debt thing. And, people need relief. It makes sense. It makes sense for a number of reasons. And so, they really just need to take a step back, really, and overhaul the whole system. We know that much. But, I know that that's going to take some time, because there's so many people who are involved in this, and so many things that you have to consider as far as the implications and all that. But, this could be a step in the right direction. The proof is going to be in the pudding, though, Tarsha, because I know that some people have already seen their debt relieved. They already know that their balances are zero, or they've been discharged, or whatever the case is. And, even before we started the show, you were talking about what I would consider a success story of one person you were working with who had $80,000 in debt, and you couldn't go away. Absolutely go away. That's incredible to me.
And like I said, I honestly believe, and I know for a fact that a lot of some people, this is the only debt they have. Like when this is gone, they're debt free. So another thing I just kind of want to throw out there, and this is just being proactive. So for some individuals, their student loan debt is the longest thing on their credit report. So I want people to just kind of keep this in mind, that when it's gone, because I believe speak positivity into all of this. So when it's gone, your credit might take a little dip, because that credit link history is going to be gone. So just kind of prepare for that, but it will go back up. But you might see that little dip at first when it's gone, because it may have been there a long time. And the only other thing I wanted to add was, if student aid .gov or anything, if they need information from you, they are not going to call you. You are going to get an email. Okay, so the vultures are out there now, and they're going to say, oh, well, you apply for this, and we have student delivery. And people, I really don't want people to fall for that. They're going to ask you for your information, this and that. And you knowing that you put in this application are going to be like, oh, okay, well, I guess they just need to verify this and that. No. If they want to contact you, they will email. That's why you have to put your email address on there. There will
Wow.
not be no phone communication to say we need to verify this, and this. That's not going to happen. So kind of just so everybody can know that. So we don't want anybody to get, fraud, scams, anything. But just kind of keep those two things in mind that, your credit might take a little blow at first, but it's going to get back where it need to be. And to avoid, these scammers, with this or whatnot.
So Tarsha, in your consulting business, these are this is the kind of information that they pay for, isn't it?
Oh yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
So
I know where you're going with this, Brother Edward.
I'm going to defer to my co-host here.
Let me see if I can help you out. Let me see if I have a little something here to help you out. Go ahead, Brother Edward. Let's keep talking.
Well, what do you call it, April? A free what?
Oh my goodness, we call it free 99.
Right, I remember that, free 99.
We call it free 99.
He said, remind the people about the free 99.
He loves to remind people about the free 99. But
I mean, this is worth something, really. Okay, this kind of information. Okay,
yeah, it is definitely.
And I hope our viewers are taking note of that. That, because I certainly did. I mean, it's a lot of those things that and I'm not a student, but those kind of things everybody needs to know.
Yeah,
okay?
Really.
Everybody needs to know.
Yes.
We have nieces, nephews, and people like that who when we depart that kind of information or impart the kind of information that's very valuable to them. They can act upon that.
Yes. And especially when it's credible and can be fact checked, because I'm a person that I always tell anyone I'm working with, like, you can fact check me. I don't care, because I believe in credible information, because a lot of times they say, he say, she say is not what nobody said, really.
Right.
But, I'm really big on expressing and sharing credible information because, I feel like information is just key when it comes, especially in our community. It's just so much doesn't happen because people don't know. It's not even that they wouldn't, it's just that they really don't know. Because if you're not in a circle or around people that would share real information with you, then there's really no other way for you to get it. Otherwise, get lost in the mumbo jumbo of the media and all that stuff. And there's different parts that are left out of there, that it may not be geared towards who they need to be geared to.
One thing I wanted to tag on to what Tarsha was saying earlier when she was talking about, don't be swindled or whatever. You should not be paying anybody to complete this debt relief application. That would be crazy. That is crazy.
Yes,
because
that part.
Let me show it to him again, Brother Edward.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, that part.
One more time.
And I've heard that it's happening. I've heard that it is happening.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
This is it. This is it. I'm scrolling to the end. Bam, submit is down here. 2 minutes worth.
And something, people fill out things like that is simple all the time for other reasons.
All the time.
All the time. For other reasons. Yeah.
But then here people get scared and they're like, oh, well, especially if somebody comes and says, oh, well, I can make sure I guarantee you to get student loan relief. Now, I have a problem with the word guaranteed. I was like, if y'all fall for anybody that says guaranteed, then
right.
You don't need to have a come to Jesus moment.
Okay, exactly.
Okay, nothing is guaranteed when it comes to, especially the government. Ain't no way you can think it's guaranteed. But people will be like, okay, well, yeah, they said they're gonna guarantee I get my money, and here you go, like boo-boo, the fool, and paying them some money to do something that takes 30 seconds to fill out because you can think for yourself, So
absolutely, yeah.
Like, we're not gonna do that, no, we're not gonna do that.
Well, I tell you what, Tarsha, this has been an incredible show. We really do appreciate it, and For those of you watching, we appreciate your time and attention tonight and asking the questions in the comments. And, you know, even though we probably didn't see all comments in the thread, I've been getting text messages. So people have listened to this. And I think it's definitely an eye opener if they didn't know the answers to certain questions before. But I think the greatest takeaway from this entire broadcast is, you know, like you said, apply for everything, meet the deadlines, even if you're not sure that you will, you know, be accepted or approved or whatever the case is. You just never know. And things are changing constantly. So you don't know what's going to be added or what's going to be taken away after a certain time. So, you know, just do it. Just do it. And if you have any additional questions or, you know, need a little bit more of an explanation about this, seek the advice of someone like Tarsha, who is confident in what she's talking about. Like she said,
right. Absolutely.
Fact check her. Who gonna check me, boo? Fact check her.
That part. That's right.
She's inviting you to do it. But also, you know, don't, as Janet said in the comments, you know, don't let fear keep you away from something that could really change your life. So, Tarsha, thank you so much for being with us tonight to share this information. And, you know, it may have been basic to some, it may have been a first time hearing it for others, but I think that, you know, it was great information nonetheless. And so keep doing what you're doing. And we wish you blessings in your business, the biz boss.
That's right. Oh, yeah. You didn't get back to that, the big balls. So, what is the derivation of that?
Okay, so Biz Boss came from before, when I was just doing taxes. I was always known as a tax lady. So one of my early clients would be like, you the biz boss, or then they would just say, oh, well, you the boss. So I kind of just affectionately took that name on, and like everybody's been running with it. So I'm like, I like it. So we just gonna make that stick. By calling me the biz boss, and only because I kind of handle everything in the business, because I try to, you know, make everything a one-stop shop to where, you know, okay, it's all right here. So that's where the biz boss came from. And I just like boss, and I spelled it different because I wanted to be original. I didn't want to use the regular BOSS.
It looks like you might have some low country rolled up in that somehow.
Listen, see, that's that little twang of Geechee. You know that.
I know it. I know it.
That little twang up in there.
I know it.
It's that little twang of Geechee.
There you go. That's right. Well,
to our viewers, April, we can remind our viewers that if they didn't catch it this evening and they hear about it, how important it was, they can check on our website, right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
go back to the website. It'll be it's there.
Yeah. You can access
today's
this broadcast.
Today's broadcast.
You can access this broadcast via the website for the next week. And then, of course, we always post our new shows to the website each week. And so after a week, you can actually catch it on our YouTube channel, which is WCM Live Talk Radio. Search that, and you'll be able to find all the broadcasts that we have. And there may be something that you want to go back to, take some notes and all that other good stuff. So Tarsha, thank you very much. And I'm sure we'll have you back at some point for another topic. So again, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Brother Edward, do we have any announcements for next week or anything that's going on? Tonight is election night, midterms. Woo!
Oh, you know something? I forgot about that. We did because you know it is of such a big case. It's such a big concern. I am concerned. Don't get me wrong. But we're finding a lot of people are getting stressed out over waiting on these decisions. Okay. Find it to be true. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, we'll know a little bit later on. It's 8:00 now, so that means the polls are closed. It is what it is at this point.
At least Eastern Standard Time, anyway.
Yeah, at least Eastern Standard Time. That's right.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we will be back next week, same time, same place, Facebook, YouTube. You can catch us on WCMagazine.net. Yeah. And we appreciate your support, and thank you all so much. Continue to have a wonderful week.
We will have a great week.
Yes. We will see you next week. And again, Tarsha, thank you for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Boss, we'll be
He loves that.
Let me tell
I was gonna say, I think he likes that name.
Ms.
Don't
Bawse.
give anybody else my name now.
You should patent that, okay? BAWSE.
Don't worry. It's trademarked in South
Oh,
Carolina.
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
It's trademarked,
I mean,
yeah.
I haven't heard it before. I haven't
It
heard it
is,
before.
yeah.
So.
Okay.
Right.
She said, look, Tarsha, FAAFO is
Right.
trademarked in South Carolina.
That part.
I'll tell you about that one later, Brother Edward.
Yeah,
I can't-
you
I
see, I
can't
didn't
share-
laugh because I didn't know.
I can't share that one on
She can't
screen.
say that right now. She
I
can't
can't,
say
yeah,
that
I
right now.
can't share that one on screen, but if
Okay.
you know, you know. Okay.
Right.
Okay. All
Right.
right.
All right. Yeah,
Send me a text. Send me a text.
I'll do that. I'll send you a text. All right, everybody. Have a good
All right.
night.
Good night. Good night.
All
everybody.
right. Good night.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host,